Avoid this mistake if you want to live a fulfilling life. We've all been there, chasing perfection, rushing through milestones, and feeling like we're falling behind in a race we never signed up for. It's easy to get caught in the trap of believing that success and happiness come from constant action and instant results. But what if I told you that this mindset is holding you back? Today, we're breaking down one of the biggest myths about personal growth. The idea that speed equals success. It doesn't. In fact, the opposite is true. Real growth, meaningful transformation, and authentic fulfillment come from patience, persistence, and embracing life's imperfections. If you've ever felt stuck, overwhelmed, or like you're not living up to your potential, stay with me. In this video, we're diving into the truths that will shift your perspective, inspire resilience, and help you navigate life's challenges with grace and wisdom. Let's redefine what it means to live boldly and unlock the power within you. Number 1. Patience. The active choice to persevere. Remember the last time you felt like giving up? Maybe it was during a tough day at work, a challenging project, or a moment when life seemed like it was throwing endless hurdles your way. We've all been there. That heavy feeling, the weight of frustration, the nagging voice in your head asking, why even bother? It's so tempting to throw in the towel when things get hard, to believe that the struggle just isn't worth it. But what if I told you that perseverance, staying the course, isn't just about gritting your teeth and holding on? It's about something much deeper. Patience isn't passive. It's not about simply sitting back and waiting for things to get better on their own. Patience is active. It's a deliberate choice to keep going, even when progress feels slow. It's the quiet, persistent strength that tells you to take one more step, to try one more time, even when the odds aren't in your favor. Think about a seed planted in the earth. Day after day, nothing seems to happen. You water it, care for it, and still, there's no sign of growth. But underground, where no one can see, transformation is taking place. Roots are spreading, and the foundation for growth is being laid. Doesn't that remind you of your own journey? Maybe it's been weeks, months, or even years since you started working toward a goal, and yet the results are nowhere in sight. But what if the roots of your success are growing, unseen beneath the surface? This is where patience becomes your ally. It's not about sitting still, it's about trusting that your effort is planting seeds that will bloom when the time is right. Close your eyes for a moment. Think back to a time in your life when patience paid off. Maybe it was a relationship that took time to build, a skill you mastered after endless practice, or a situation where you finally overcame something you thought you never would. Wasn't it worth it? That feeling of accomplishment, of knowing that your perseverance made the impossible possible. Let that memory remind you that the same is true for where you are now. Your patience isn't just waiting, it's working. Number 2, celebrate growth and embrace setbacks. Growth is a beautiful thing, isn't it? We all strive for it in some way, to be better, to achieve more, to improve ourselves and our lives. But here's the thing, growth is rarely glamorous. It's messy, it's unpredictable, and it's often painful. Think about the last time you learned something new, faced a tough challenge, or stepped out of your comfort zone. Chances are it wasn't easy. It probably felt more like stumbling in the dark than walking confidently toward the light. But every stumble was a step forward, wasn't it? Let me take you back to when you were a child, learning to ride a bike. Remember that first time you fell? The sting of the scrape on your knee, the embarrassment, the frustration. For a moment, you might have thought, I can't do this, but you didn't give up. You got back on that bike, maybe with a little push from someone who believed in you, and you tried again and again, until one day you were riding without even thinking about it. Why is it that we celebrate children for their persistence, but are so hard on ourselves when we fall? Setbacks are not failures, They're proof that you're trying, that you're learning, that you're growing. Each stumble is a step closer to mastering something new. Yet, somewhere along the way, we start to believe that falling is a sign we're not good enough, that we'll never succeed. But the truth is, every scrape and bruise, every moment of doubt, is part of the process. When was the last time you celebrated your growth? Not the big milestones, but the small victories, the moments when you picked yourself up, dusted yourself off, and kept going. Maybe it was getting through a tough week at work, finally learning how to cook that recipe you've been struggling with, or simply showing up for yourself on a hard day. Growth doesn't always look like giant leaps. Sometimes it's just putting one foot in front of the other. Take a moment to think about your own setbacks. Maybe there's one that still stings, one you can't seem to let go of. But what if that setback wasn't a failure? What if it was a lesson, a turning point, a stepping stone towards something greater? Look back at it now, not with judgment, but with curiosity. What did it teach you? How did it shape you? Number 3, patience as a quiet superpower. We live in a world obsessed with speed. Fast food, fast internet, fast results. We've been taught to value efficiency above all else, to see waiting as wasted time. But what if patience is actually the greatest strength you can have? What if, in a world that's constantly rushing, the ability to pause, to endure, to trust the process is what sets you apart? Think about the most powerful forces in nature, the way rivers carve through mountains, not in days or months, but over centuries. The way trees grow, inch by inch, year by year, reaching for the sky. They don't rush, they don't force, they simply persist. And in their persistence, they achieve greatness. Now think about your own life. How often do you find yourself caught in the trap of wanting everything now? Maybe it's that promotion at work, that perfect relationship, or that personal goal you've been chasing. You tell yourself, if it doesn't happen soon, it'll never happen. But what if the timing isn't wrong? What if you're just in the middle of the process? What if patience is the key to unlocking everything you're working toward? Let's get a little nostalgic. Do you remember a time before instant gratification? Before streaming services, when you had to wait a week for the next episode of your favorite show? Before smartphones, when a handwritten letter was something to treasure? There was something special about that waiting, wasn't there? Something that made the reward even sweeter. Patience is like that. It's the quiet strength that helps you endure the waiting, the setbacks, the slow progress. It's what keeps you going when everything else tells you to quit. It's what allows you to savor the journey, not just the destination. Imagine what could happen if you leaned into patience instead of fighting it. What could you achieve if you trusted that the seeds you're planting now will bloom in their own time? Patience isn't just waiting, it's enduring with purpose. It's believing that every step, no matter how small, is leading you closer to where you want to be. So ask yourself, what could you accomplish if you gave yourself the grace to grow at your own pace? If you embraced the waiting as part of the process? If you stopped rushing and started trusting? Number 4, harsh truths as a compass for growth. Life isn't always kind. It doesn't come with a roadmap, and often the lessons we need to learn arrive wrapped in challenges we never asked for. But here's the thing about harsh truths. They're not there to break us. They're there to guide us, to shape us, to force us to grow. Think about the last time life threw you a curveball. Maybe it was a relationship that ended, a job you lost, or a goal that felt just out of reach. In that moment, it probably felt like the world was against you. But what if those experiences weren't obstacles, but signs pointing you towards something greater? We're often told to follow our passions, to chase our dreams, to seek happiness. But what they don't tell you is that the path to those things is rarely straightforward. It's messy. It's full of detours and dead ends. And sometimes it feels like you're completely lost. That's where harsh truths come in. They're the tough love of life, the moments that make you stop and reassess. Think back to a time when you faced a hard truth. Maybe it was realizing that something you wanted wasn't meant for you, or that you were holding on to something that was holding you back. It's not easy, is it? Those moments cut deep, but they also wake you up. They force you to look at life from a new perspective, to question what you've been taught, and to find strength in places you never thought to look. Now imagine a compass. It doesn't show you the entire map, just the direction you need to go. That's what these hard truths are. They're not the full picture, but they give you the nudge you need to start moving in the right direction. And while it's tempting to resist, to cling to what's comfortable, growth only happens when you let go. Take a moment to think about the lessons life has handed you recently. Are there any truths you've been avoiding? What if, instead of fighting them, you embraced them? What if you let them guide you toward the life you're meant to live? Number 5. Life's winding road, triumphs and transformations. Have you ever noticed how life rarely goes as planned? You set out with a vision, a goal, a dream, and somehow the journey takes you in a completely different direction. At first, it's frustrating. You think this isn't how it's supposed to be. But then, over time, you start to realize something. The detours, the unexpected turns, the challenges, they're not distractions, they're the journey itself. Think about where you are today. Chances are your life doesn't look exactly like you imagined it would. But if you look closer, you'll see the moments that shaped you, the triumphs that lifted you, and the transformations that made you who you are. Maybe it was a job you didn't get that led you to a better opportunity. Maybe it was a heartbreak that taught you how to love yourself. Or maybe it was a mistake that turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to you. Life's road isn't straight. It's winding, unpredictable, and sometimes downright confusing. But it's in those twists and turns that we find our greatest strength. It's in the moments when we think we've lost our way that we discover who we really are. And it's in the unexpected detours that we stumble upon the things that truly matter. Take a moment to reflect on your own journey. What were the turning points? The moments when everything seemed to fall apart, only to come together in a way you never could have planned. Those moments aren't just memories. They're proof of your resilience, your courage, your ability to adapt and grow. Now imagine standing at a crossroads. One path is straight and predictable, but it's not where your heart is pulling you. The other is winding and uncertain, but it feels alive with possibility. Which path would you choose? Number 6. Finding strength in the shared human experience. Life can feel incredibly isolating at times. When you're struggling, it's easy to believe that you're the only one going through it, that no one could possibly understand what you're feeling. But here's the truth. You are not alone. The pain, the joy, the uncertainty, you're not the first to feel it, and you won't be the last. In fact, it's what connects us all. Think about the people around you, friends, family, co-workers, strangers on the street. Every single one of them is carrying something, a dream they're chasing, a fear they're facing, a burden they're shouldering. And while their experiences may not look exactly like yours, the emotions behind them are the same. We all know what it feels like to hope, to struggle, to grow. Let's take a moment to reflect on those shared experiences. Remember the last time someone shared their story with you, a moment of vulnerability or triumph. Didn't it make you feel less alone? Like maybe, just maybe, you could get through your own challenges too. That's the power of connection. Now think about your own story, the moments that broke you, the lessons that shaped you, the victories that lifted you. What if those moments could inspire someone else? What if your courage to keep going could give someone else the strength to do the same? There's a quiet strength in knowing that you're part of something bigger, that your struggles are not just yours, but part of a shared human experience. It's what allows us to connect, to find empathy, to draw strength from one another. So the next time you feel alone, remember, you're not just walking your own path. You're part of a tapestry of stories, a network of lives all navigating their own winding roads. What would change if you saw your struggles not as isolating, but as uniting? If you realized that your journey, with all its imperfections, is part of a much larger story. Number 7. Living boldly, a call to action and authenticity. What does it mean to truly live boldly? For most of us, life is a delicate balancing act, a constant negotiation between what's expected of us and what we truly desire. But living boldly isn't about abandoning responsibility or chasing every fleeting whim. It's about embracing authenticity, even when it's uncomfortable. It's about stepping into your truth, no matter how messy or imperfect it might look to the outside world. Think about the moments in your life when you felt truly alive. Maybe it was when you stood up for yourself, pursued a passion others doubted, or made a decision that scared you, but ultimately felt right. Those moments weren't just random bursts of courage, they were glimpses of your true self breaking through the noise. But why is it so hard to live authentically all the time? Why do we hesitate, second-guess ourselves, or bury our dreams under a mountain of what-ifs? The truth is, society has trained us to prioritize fitting in over standing out. We're told to play it safe, to avoid risk, to follow the script. And yet, deep down, we crave more. Take a moment to imagine what your life would look like if you stopped apologizing for who you are. If you let go of the fear of judgment and leaned into your passions, your quirks, your unique perspective. Picture yourself taking the leap, whether it's pursuing a new career, mending a broken relationship, or simply allowing yourself to rest when the world demands productivity. Living boldly doesn't mean you'll never feel fear. On the contrary, fear is part of the equation. It's the signal that you're stepping into something unfamiliar, something meaningful. And while it's natural to feel hesitant, the question isn't whether you'll experience fear, it's whether you'll let it stop you. What would happen if you stopped waiting for the perfect moment and started creating it? If you stopped living small and allowed yourself to take up space, to make mistakes, to grow? As we close this journey together, remember this. Life isn't about rushing to the finish line. It's about the moments that shape you, the struggles that teach you, and the connections that make it all worthwhile. Every lesson we've explored, patience, resilience, and the courage to embrace discomfort, points to one truth. Transformation begins when you decide to break free from the myths holding you back and live with purpose. Drop in the comments if you've made it this far. It means you're among the rare 0.01% who actually follow through and finish what they start. If you're ready to take charge of your life, embrace these truths, and build the extraordinary life you deserve, don't wait. Join our community by subscribing, and let's continue this journey of growth together.